Look, we're stuck in the system, we can't get out. It's time for a change, stop running your mouth. I'm looking for words, but I can't get it out. Look for the light, but the sun blotted out.
Hold on, let me hop on the beat. Cause social injustice and prisoner mindset is something we gotta defeat. We idle these hoes and wear all these clothes with shoes that can't be creased. Steady looking for substance and change, but we searching all up in these streets.
Got a stain on my shirt that I can't get out. My people on high like the top of the mount. We thirsting for truth, but there's no spout. Look for a savior, but no one around.
But no one's around, but where do they look? It ain't in the church, it ain't in the book. We can't get a job, so we rather crook. They got us in chains, a fish on the hood.
Look, harvesting not bodies, harvesting not organs. Got them real big mad, cause they culture boring. Pimping the poor, Jim Crow at the door. Selling our souls, our daughters a whore. I wanna give in, can't take it no more. Don't wanna believe our people are more.
We swept our cup when we look at decline. We got a new bottle, it's filled with wine.
Hello, and welcome to another Mac will Make a Culture Move podcast, where we cover everything from intense social topics to funny social trends. We are your host, Mark Jonathan.
G.
Tabs.
And as always, we have a wonderful podcast for you all today. But before we get started, if we could have our brief disclaimer.
So here at the Make a Culture Move podcast, we cover a lot of intense social trends and social topics that could be kind of controversial and make you feel some type of way. But if you feel some type of way, please examine yourself and ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And is there some type of change I need to implement in my life? Because maybe you do, you know what I'm saying? So hey, we're the experts. When the experts want to know about stuff going on in our communities, they come to us. And because we live through these things, that makes us the experts. So yes. Mark?
Awesome. And with that being said, we will continue into our topic on sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
So today we're going to be talking about the other side of sex, because if you guys tuned into any of the podcasts that we had last week, our elders and some of our, fellow brethren, sistren, we're talking about sexual intercourse, literally going into details, talking about giving top and head and open your legs and just the whole logistics of, sexual intercourse. So I was like, okay, so let's talk about what's behind the sex. Let's talk about, how sex affects our community and how it affects us. So that's what we're going to be diving into today is sex, how it affects us, and how do we, overcome that. So the first question that I have for y'all, our viewers, and for those sitting here in the Macum studio today, when did you first learn about sex? And did your parents ever have the birds and the bees talk with you? And what was that like? Mark, you can go first.
So I say I first learned about sex probably like middle school. So what is that, 11, 12 type stuff?
Whoa, that's
right.
Middle school is 12th grade?
No, 11 years old.
Oh, okay. I got you. I'm like, what? 11 to 12th grade? What?
So yeah, I mean, and as far as if my parents, I think they kind of told me a little too late, only because I lost, my virginity young. I was around that type of stuff.
What's young?
13.
Okay. So, and what made you feel like? What made you feel like that was something that you should have been doing, or something that you felt pressured to do?
Well, really, it was just like the people I was around. You feel me? Like, like my concept of what a man is now was not the same as it was when I was 12, 13. You feel me? They kind of made it around. How many women you got or how much money you got, that type of stuff. So, yeah. But like I said, my parents, or more specifically my father, taught me about, sexual intercourse about like 2 years after that type stuff.
Damn.
Where I started dating.
Oh my gosh. I just want to say shalom to Hezekiah out there. Most High in Christ bless.
That's good, buddy.
Yes. But G, what about you?
Honestly, I don't know. You know, I know I knew about sex before middle school. Like, you know, as far as like details and all of that, it's probably like middle school. You know, when we had like the fake sexual education class or whatever. But like as far as like the birds and the bees talk, I mean, I guess maybe I, you know, overheard the conversation that my brother got, but I don't think I really got that talk. Like, you know, my mom always taught me that my body is a temple and it's sacred and to value myself. My dad never really touched on it. I do remember like the first boyfriend that my dad knew about, he was like his only words to that was dudes only want to have sex. Like that's it. That's all he said. Like he didn't really have any other, you feel me? And I was 15 already by then. And so it's like I had already lost my virginity. Like I had already been in the sexual education class. Like I had already been learning these things. Like whatever he was saying to me was like, okay, you kind of too late for all of that, right? Because I've already been there. So, but yeah, it's like, you know, my mom always told me that my body is a temple and it's sacred and that, but I lived by the code of what I was watching my brother do, because I felt like whatever he can do, I can do too. This is not a sexist world that I mean, it is a sexist world that we live in, but I don't live my life sexistly. So, I felt like, you feel me, if he could do it, why the hell can't I do it? Then why not? So I watched my brother, and I overheard the, you know, conversations that he got, but the conversation that he was getting was nowhere near the conversation that I was getting. So I wasn't listening to what I was being told. I was paying attention to what was being done, and I was doing what I was seeing be done.
All right. Well, my turn. That is, wow, that's crazy. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna say my experience, right? My mom always told me, like, since I was very young, I started learning about sex when I was maybe like 7, 8 years old. My mom definitely told me, you know, if you let a man stick it in, and she explained what it was, you know, a penis. I was like, whoa, this is too much. And at that age, I was so like, because I grew up in a semi-sheltered environment to a certain extent. Yes, there was a lot of explicit stuff happening around me, but my mom, despite everything that was going on around us, she tried to keep us sheltered. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, to hear stick it in, I'm like, stick what in? And then she explains what's gonna be stuck in. I'm like, this is crazy. And, you know, I grew up to later find out that my mom and my aunts and my uncle was a pimp. So he put girls out there to sell sex, which is basically what society does today, is sell sex. But, you know, it was something that was literally happening. And I found out later down the line that my mother was a prostitute and my aunt was a prostitute and all this. And it's crazy because at the time when they were sheltering me, it didn't make sense. I was like, okay, I get why you're telling me this, but it was always, you know, alluding to, you know, if a man ever does this to you or does that to you, please let me know, because I'm going to kill that man. Because, you know, sexual exploitation and sexual violation happens a lot in the Black community. So I think that, you know, having those talks with your young girls and young boys, because boys get touched too, is something that I think is super important. And I definitely thank my mom for doing that. And I think that, you know, we don't have that birds and bees conversation early enough. I learned about sex at like 7 or 8 years old, and I knew good and well not to do that stuff. And yes, it's a good thing that I didn't follow that path, because that is not the way to go, y'all. It is not the way to go.
Yeah. I want to say we learned about sex, but it was taught and it was prevalent to understand and know nobody touch your private parts and you don't touch anybody else's private parts. And that we learned before preschool, because I started preschool, I was 2.5. So that was something that I went into preschool knowing that my private parts are my private parts and nobody touches what belongs to me and I don't touch what belongs to anybody else. And that goes for students and teachers. That's what we learned going into preschool. So, you know, that, and we still teach that to, you feel me, the young ones in our family right now. Your private parts are your private parts, and your job to protect your private parts, and you don't touch anybody else's private parts because they're their private parts. So you don't touch what belongs to them, and you don't let anybody touch what belongs to you. And yeah, you got to teach them young. Because once you teach them at the sponge age where they're absorbing everything, when they get older, they're gonna stuff like that. You feel me? It sticks with them. My private parts are my private parts. I don't want you to touch my private parts. Your private parts are your private parts. So I'm gonna let you touch yours, and I'm not gonna deal in that area. You gotta teach them young.
I'm just gonna say this though, because my mom definitely had that talk with us, but that didn't. It stopped me.
It's not a sex talk. That's a protecting talk.
But she definitely had the sex talk of sticking it in and not going into detail about this is what head is and this is what this is and this is what that is. No, it was like, if you do this, this is gonna happen. It's crazy though, because my sister lost her virginity before I did. And y'all, I do not condone, like, I'll get into that later, but she was on the fast track. And that's why, I believe that, if you have a shameless daughter, you got to keep her in straightly, because if you don't keep her in straightly and be on her like white on rice, that's when early childhood pregnancy comes into the picture. My little sister got pregnant when she was 14. My other little sister. I'm the oldest of three, but yeah. My other little sister got pregnant at 14, had her baby at 15, and now she's 20 with 3 kids, y'all. This is not a game. We have to teach our children, we got to teach them. It's too much. It's too much. We got to be on it. And we definitely need to bring the fathers back into our households, because if we don't do that, we're learning about, male genitals and how to deal in a relationship from a woman who obviously can't make good decisions. Like it doesn't make any sense. The cycle continues. And I don't know, you as a young man that lost it very early, how do you feel about that? How do you feel like that affected you, and how you feel about, quote unquote, sexual relations?
Well, I could say,
I already answered
that kind of,
nothing but.
Okay, that kind of like shaped, my thought pattern for like the years to come. And then I didn't really get a different mindset until I hit about like 18. You feel me? So can you repeat the question?
I mean, how do you think that affected you, and how you see, started to see the world through the lenses of sex? Like, what did that experience change in your feeling to sex?
So it's kind of what I said earlier. Like, I started basing my manlyhood off of, how much women I was talking to, petty fights I was getting in. Like I said earlier, like just the men, like what I perceived to be a man to be was just really clouded in ignorance. And, I was following people that were still clouded in ignorance, even though they was twice my age.
That's funny, because my mom always says there's 2 types of men in the world: men who chase money and men who chase pussy. You're one or the other. You're not both. You chase money or you chase pussy. You pay attention to it. And there's men who will stop on the way. There's men who will detour on the way to money to get some pussy if it's not inconvenient. But if it's gonna interrupt their paper, they gonna go to the pussy after they make their paper. They gonna make their paper first. But then there's men who don't care about the money. I'm gonna go ahead and get this punani, and then the money come along with it. Then the money come along with it, and that's fine. But it's money or pussy.
I'm just gonna say this. Then this is just for me, and my view of a man was always jaded because my mom was bitter towards men. And it's because of her bitterness that I viewed men in a negative light. And it's not until recently of being around men that aren't really too concerned about money. Yes, money is a defense. Money, you need money to get food. You need money for shelter. You need money for the essential things in life. But I don't know. That's money is a defense at the end of the day. But as far as like punani, the vajayjay, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until recently and like within the last 2-3 years that I've been around men that aren't too worried about that. They're worried about getting themselves right so that they can, break that cycle that we talk about so much, that cycle of, that single parent households, not involving themselves and putting themselves in a situation that they're not prepared to handle as a man and take up the responsibilities. This is my viewpoint. And it took me a while to get to this point. Like, I've been thinking this way for the past 2 years, but you as a man do not need to be worried about having sex with anybody if you don't have your own place. If you're not stable, what do you the chance of you impregnating someone, you're not in a situation to take care of that. You're not.
You
so
just realized this 2 years ago?
Yes. Yes. Because at one point I was taking care of a man, and a woman that's taking care of her man and maintaining him, she gets real angry real fast. She don't want to do that. So it took me a while to understand that. Y'all gotta understand, my mom died when I was 17. So me trying to figure it out, my mom couldn't teach me those lessons. Those lessons I had to learn through experience, and literally, as Hezekiah said earlier, if you don't teach them, they learn from the world. I learned from the world and the mistakes I made in relationships. So, it's just, we got to do better, man. We got to do better. That's the gist of what I'm trying to say. But as far as, I'm just going to throw a random question out there to ask y'all, because, the statement was brought up, men either are chasing money or they're chasing that, they chasing that. So do y'all think that, with the level of information and knowledge that's going out there, that our people should be focused on something else? And if they need to be focused on something else, what should that thing be that they need to be focused on?
Anything. Sex should not be the focus. Yeah, like anything.
And then money.
Yeah,
like learn how to make money.
Sex should not be the focus. Sex should not be the focus. Like, there's so many other things that need to come before that. Yeah, like Mark was saying, that education, finances, music, art. I was just telling my mom how, like, me myself, I'm uncomfortable with going to a black doctor, so I'm uncomfortable with sending my dog I'm uncomfortable going to a white doctor. I want a black doctor, so I'm uncomfortable sending my dog to a white vet. I want my dog to have a black vet. There's not many black vets in the world. That's something that our community needs to work on, because we have pets and shit like that. So there's other things that need to be focused on.
And just to add to what she was just saying, there's a lot of people who have a passion for that type of stuff. But because we don't hold that on a pedestal as we do other stuff like sports,
sex and entertainment,
exactly,
and sports,
they'll never explore that career path. And I'll say another, to answer the question, media portrays, quality life is living with somebody else, being in a relationship with somebody else. Like, I got a little sister. I pray she's not watching. But man, like, she just really be irritating me sometimes, because like she values, or that's not the word I want to use. She aligns like having a good life with like having a boyfriend, or I need this, I need that. And I'm trying to, like, I'm definitely not this guy anymore, but I'm telling her, like, shorty, like, who your brother is, like, I'm telling you, like, them dudes are too young to know what they want. So how are they gonna know what best for you? Like,
yeah, like I just had to tell a dude that I was talking to that I'm a grown ass woman. Like we've been in a weird on and off talking place since we was like sophomores in high school. We're not sophomores in high school anymore, right? I'm grown. I do my MACM. I have several businesses that I'm building and working outside of that. I'm busy. You can't text my phone and expect me to take time out of my day, just because 9 out of 10 times I'm not even gonna see that you text me. Pick up the phone and call me, right? You have to elevate and change and grow as you get older. As you get older, I'm not 15 no more where I'm just always on my phone and I can text because I don't have anything else going on. If you want to get a hold of me, you want to talk to me, you want to be a part of my life, pick up the phone and call me. It takes 30 seconds less than that to call somebody and check on them. It doesn't have to involve anything other than a, hey, how you doing? What's up? What's going on? We don't have to talk about sex. We don't really even have to talk about money. Just talking about how are you? How am I? And that's growing and elevating. And I think oftentimes like people are so stuck in high school. We're not in high school no more. We graduated, we're grown, we're moving on to bigger and better things in life. And if you can't move on and grow and accept that, then you can't move on and grow with me in life, because I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep moving on. Things that I'm not worried about anymore, such as sex, it's not going to be a topic really, because I don't care. You're going to bring it up. I'm going to entertain you because I entertain bullshit and boredom. That's just who I am. And then I'm going to disappoint you because you're not going to get what you're looking for. It's going to be a disappointment, and I'm going to get a laugh out of it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to get a laugh out of it because I'm telling you from the jump, from the very beginning, that I'm not even interested in having sex. I'm not even interested in having a boyfriend. I'm not even interested in being in a relationship. I'm interested in building networking opportunities, business opportunities, and growing and elevating. So if we're not talking about how we can elevate our mindset, elevate our financial stability and grow residual leverage income, then we don't have much to talk about. And I'm not going to just stop what I'm doing to talk about nothing.
Man, I just want to say this, as far as like sexual relationships and stuff like that, especially when it comes to our youth, I think that what happens is, you know, we all, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, and you know, we have the virtual artist storytelling where people come on and tell their stories and stuff like that. But a lot of times what you see is with young girls that have sex early or have sex at an early age, they're seeking love. You know what I'm saying? The love that's lacking within their households, the love that they didn't get from their father, the love that they, you know, and I don't really understand where it comes from with men, because I can only speak from a woman's viewpoint, a woman's point of view or perspective. But for me, when I really started to deal with a guy, it was because I literally felt like, you know, I wanted that love craze, that teenage love craze that I see on TV. You know what I'm saying? People being, you know, people being overwhelmed or being, you know, intoxicated with the person that they're in a relationship with. And because I felt like there was kind of like a lack in that in my own household, and because, you know, I didn't have a father to tell me, you know, what it is that a man is truly looking for. Hey, Denise, what a man is truly looking for, you know, it was hard for me. So I
was different. Hey, Denise. You know, I 100% I do agree with that. Young girls who lose their virginity at early age definitely are seeking love for a lack of love in some area in their life. But you know, you hear a lot of you know, girls, women who say, you know, they regret their first time because they wish they would have waited. They wasn't with the person who they wanted it to be with. You know, all these things. And you know, I don't regret my first time. It was with who I wanted it to be with. I was young, and that's the only reason why I wish I would have waited, is because I was young. But I don't regret it at all. And I you know, you hear that a lot from people, and that regret is also what shapes how they maneuver and move in life, seeing through the sex lens. Because, and that's why waiting until marriage is so important, because it's the sacredness a part of it. That happens, like you're combining your spirit with somebody else's. You're combining your soul with somebody else's when you decide to have sex. Doing that at a young age, your soul is not even fully developed yet. You know, you don't even really know who you are. So you're taking bits and pieces from somebody else's broken soul and giving bits and pieces of your broken soul. And it's like, broken pieces can't really heal broken pieces, can they? I don't
think so. It hasn't said so.
So, Janice,
but those are like missing pieces.
Janice asked. She said, or she made a comment that she asked. She said, "Sex or, you know, romantic relationships are overly romanticized." Mark, what you gotta say? Yeah. Mark gotta say. What Mark gotta say?
I mean, definitely, I agree with that. You know, it's kind of like what I said earlier. Like the media depicts And with social media, like you could follow couples, people like that, and then if you have a certain like group that you follow, you're gonna kind of align your mindset with that group. The City Girls is a good example. I know tons of little girls that listen to the City Girls that talk about, I ain't even going, man, but like if they continue to listen to that, they're only gonna revolve their mindset around that.
You hang around 4 millionaires, you become the fifth. You hang around 4 city girls, you become the fifth.
I'm gonna say, because okay, so this is the
feather flock together.
Birds of a feather do flock together, but and that just kind of speaks to the mindset that you have, because if you have a certain type of mindset, if you have a money making mindset, of course you're going to be around other people that also have that same mindset. But if you have a hoe mindset, you operate like a hoe. Everything around you is hoe like you have a hoe like mindset. All you're worried about is dick and pussy, and that's all you're worried about. So of course, the people that you surround yourself with and the company that you keep are going to be the same people. The only way that that's going to change is if you surround yourself with different people. And I'm not putting myself on a pedestal by any means, because at one point I hung out with I don't even want to talk about the people I hung out with, because it's not the wave. But these days now, I've been around more married couples because they can teach me what it is to be married, because they know from experience. They know the ins and outs. They've been married for well over 15 years, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And so they have that experience under their belt to, say that, sex is honorable and all, and the bed is not sex. Marriage is honorable overall, and the bed is undefiled. Y'all forgive me. And we talking about sex, and I'm thinking about sex. But it's about who you hang around, because you talk about how your spirit becomes intertwined with somebody once you have sex with them. But I believe that when you're around, let's say for instance, you're a goody two shoes, you start hanging out with somebody who is basically the school hoe. Everybody knows her for sleeping with everybody, and you start hanging around that person. Your mentality is going to shift a bit, even though it's not what was inherently in you, and that's not what your parents taught you. But because you're around this person, you start picking up certain behaviors that this person has, even things within their own speech, certain isms that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like if they say, what's something that a sister says a lot? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I found myself saying, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And like you end up saying those things because whether you realize it or not, even though you're not doing the quote unquote stuff that you're doing, it's the actions behind what she's saying or doing. That stuff is going to eventually rub onto you, because who's going to pity a snake charmer? You've been sitting up here playing with fire, and eventually your ass got burned. So of course, you know what I'm saying? It's more than just, when you have sex with someone, those spirits intertwine. But when you surround yourself around certain people, those spirits do interact. They come together. Demons be talking.
Yeah, they dwell on you. And it's like, so, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. If you, it's how big is your influence? Because that's how people pick up the isms, right? How big is your influence? If the whole influence is bigger than your goody two-shoe influence, you're gonna learn off of her. She's not gonna learn off of you. So it's how big is your influence? Like I look at some of my friends that I've had, growing up or whatever. I've had some really sweet friends. You feel me? Like these females are so sweet. They're loving, they're kind, they're caring, and those attributes, they allow people to walk over them. I'm not that way, never have been. And so these friends of mine, you feel me, my influence is so big that when they hang around me, I have certain friends people who used to walk over them, they no longer get walked over no more, because my influence on them has rubbed off on them. It was like, whoa, I don't have to let people walk all over me. I have a voice of my own. I can speak up and say something for myself. So it's how big is your influence? How are you influence the people around you? How are you influence your circle? And how impressionable are you? Do you pick up on other people's isms easy. Are you like, are you a leader or a follower? That's what it basically comes down to. Are you a leader or are you a follower? Can you stand on your 10 toes no matter where you're at and stand on your values and your beliefs and your core systems no matter where you're at, no matter who you're around? Or are you gonna fold? Are you gonna fold? You get around people who you're not a hoe, but you get around female, you get placed in a position where you're around females who are hoes. You don't have to conform to that. You stand tall in who you are and you outshine everybody around you rather than adapting and conforming and making yourself small. You don't make yourself small to make other people feel big. You stay who you are and you stay big. So that way you shine and you outshine everybody around you. It's about you and your influence and your mentality. Where's your mentality? Where's your thought process at? You don't have to be conformed. But it's so easy to be conformed and so easy to adapt to what's going on around you rather than being the leader that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to influence people to follow you, not be influenced to follow other people.
But I think what it is also is that media is raising our kids. You know,
that is true, and that's a part of your mentality. But you're a parent. Turn the damn TV off.
It's not only that, but the thing is, even when you're not around, like. I feel like, especially in today's society where there's a lot of single parent households and stuff like that, parents don't have the time to be like, what you watching? What you doing? Unless they put parental control on their TV like my great-grandparents did.
Which all those things are still available. So it's just like, how lazy are you to turn on the parental control? All of those things are still available today. You can turn on the parental on every device that they have. The cell phones, you can turn on parental control. The TV, you can turn on parental. YouTube has a kid's YouTube where they can't scroll outside of kids' YouTube. Yep. Now TikTok, that's a different thing. You can post whatever you want on TikTok. It's not censored at all. That's you feeling some of the technicalities is kind of hard to get into because there are no censoring. But right now with COVID and the pandemic, most single parents' kids are at home.
Not only that, but you let your kids go to school and they're teaching them about sex before you ever get the opportunity to do so. So a lot of times it does boil down to, you know, parents being more diligent with the stuff that they teach people, but there's so many different. This world is very crafty. They have different ways of letting all the wrong things seep into the minds of your children. You think, you know, it's all good to let your child sit down and watch SpongeBob or whatever, Nickelodeon or whatever. And you're sitting there and you are actually like, I've watched.
You pay attention.
You listen to what they're saying. Like I'm a cartoons person. Don't judge me. I don't like scary movies or nothing like that. But I watched the new Trolls movie that came out, the world tour thing. And they're teaching them about, you know, integrating and, you know, we're all the same and all this stuff. But that's not the narrative that I'm trying to give to my kids. And this is why my kids will be homeschooled and they'll only be certain things. But the thing about society is they make, like Hezekiah said, they make all the wrong things look fun. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And and the thing, you could try to protect your kids, but that's why you have to raise them up in the way that they should go. And so, but you know, depending on the spirit that's within that child, that child will deviate from what you have taught them because the world is real appealing. And I don't know if Mark, what you got to say, man? I'm looking at your facial expression and I'm like, I don't even know.
Nah, I mean, I definitely agree with, you know, all that's been said. Especially nowadays, I feel like the media, you know, the stuff we listen to definitely has the biggest effect. To speak on a little bit of what we talked about a little earlier, you know, Black people have the most influence. You feel me? From twerking to swag to pants sagging to wearing nice suits. You feel me? Like we have not necessarily, kind of what G's saying. So, you know, we can make our children, you know, generations to come, we can mold them into whatever we want to see, but it's just, you know, what we allow. So,
y'all, what Mark said was just so big. It's like Black people are the ultimate influence. So it's like, with that being said, that means we have the power to change the narrative. We have the power to change the narrative. If we change what's being put out there on social media, the type of music videos that we're putting out there to our kids, the type of music that we're making for society, you feel me? for society to listen to. It's not just about protecting kids from sex. That's not the thing. It's about protecting society from sex, because sex is killing the society. You feel me? It starts young with the kids, but it goes with them. It follows them. It follows them for the rest of their life wherever they go. So it's like, like in Little League sports, whatever, where you have a coach where they start with the kids as like peewees, and then that same coach follows those kids up until they can no longer play. So like with sex, when children first, or when humans first experience sex, now it's gonna follow them for the rest of their life. It's gonna go with them where they go. And then now you see life, as Tabitha was saying earlier, you are seeing life through the lens of sex. You can no longer see life without that lens, because you've been exposed to it. So you know what it looks like. You know what life looks like through the lens of sex. And seeing life through the lens of sex, you see that it's everywhere.
And I do agree that, we the salt of the earth and we give this world flavor. But at the same time, y'all, we got to be real about who runs the music industry, who's the person that puts you on that platform in order for you to get the level of fame or recognition that you want. So when it comes to that, you have a lot of these white people, and I'm going to call them out for who they are. You have a lot of white people out there who own the industry and push that. You know what I'm saying? And because, we're at such a base state, we're at a low level as far as like our income and stuff, and not really being able to accumulate wealth for ourselves, we are subject to the narrative that is given to us. When a lot of parents, because they do have that single parent household, they send their kids to school. What narrative do they get at school? They're taught, Christopher Columbus discovered America, when in fact that's not true. They're taught about, this is what sex is, and it's all good as long as you wear protection. You won't get burned, XYZ. They teach them about the STDs, which I don't think there's anything wrong with being taught about.
I don't even think they teach it, though. They just kind of inform you what it is. They give you a little bit about what it is.
They give you a banana.
Really teach you. Yeah, they don't really teach you the logistics of what AIDS and STDs are. That's why the levels are so high.
But if you keep certain information back, like you're just saying, this is how you put on a condom, and these are the the illnesses and stuff like that that's running rampant in society. You give kids tools to go to seek out mischief, to go get in trouble. Okay, I know how to put a condom on a banana. I can practice.
Too, though, because condoms do not protect you from STDs.
They don't.
They don't. So it's like, that's what needs to be taught. That's what needs to be taught. When we're being taught about sex in school, sex leads to kids or AIDS. You're gonna get a kid or you're gonna get AIDS. That's what needs to be taught, because then that's scary. That's a scary thought. Whether you use a condom or you don't use a condom, it doesn't matter, right? You feel me? Because condoms break. Females trap dudes trap females. So you feel me? You might have a hole in your condom. You don't know. So condoms do not protect you from kids, and they do not protect you from AIDS. So you teach kids, you change that narrative and tell them sex leads to kids or STD and AIDS. It doesn't lead to anything but those two things. And then that's scary to kids. You tell kids if you have sex, you're gonna have a kid. Or if you have sex, you're gonna have a terminal illness disease, and then it's like, whoa.
Well, maybe I should be abstinent.
Maybe I should be abstinent. Maybe I shouldn't have sex. Maybe I should wait till marriage, because then so if we change marriage and teach, if you wait till marriage to have sex, you feel me? Then those things. If you have kids, you're having kids by your husband or your wife, right? We're gonna get to him. We're having kids by your husband or your wife, or you have less likely of a chance of getting AIDS. You feel me? I'm not going to say it's impossible when you get married. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's just a less likely chance, because if you're only giving yourself to your husband and your husband's only giving himself to you, you shouldn't really have an issue with getting AIDS or STDs.
That's a big if.
And that's a big if. You know me? That's if you guys are being committed and loyal to only each other and only having sex with each other. But, that's not always the case. But, like, in schools, they do teach you that condoms protect you from kids and AIDS. And that's not the truth.
But, y'all, this is a good time to transition into the next phase of this topic. You know what I'm saying? And I had a statement that I wrote just as a side note that I wanted to, bring out a little bit. But I said that I believe that Black and Latino men and women are over-sexualized in all aspects of life within the society around us, or life within and around us. So much so that they sexualize each other. And because of the way that society pushes us to deal with our sexuality, those that are religious demonize sex. So much so that it pushes our youth into a weird spot, not knowing what their sexual identity is, which Lord's will, your sexual identity is. You just a straight male, straight woman, you know what I'm saying? And how to feel about it and what sex even means. We express sexual behaviors way too young and early, and that is the reason for that. You don't get taught about it. You learn about it all the wrong ways. You have people, music and TV. Now, right. I have this video that I found on YouTube about this man whose daughter, this man was trying to talk to her through TikTok. And, predators be, coming for young girls. So I just want to get into this video. And this is a quote unquote.
I think that's the scariest thing, though, when it comes to the social media, is that for the predators, like, it's like, black parents always like to get hostile and irate with their children instead of just explaining certain things to them. I don't want you doing this because there are predators out there in the world. Sex trafficking is real. Child trafficking is real. Organ harvesting is real. Like, all of these things are real and they take place. But how often do you hear about Black parents having those conversations with their children in the home? And
when they do, okay, look at what happened with T.I.
Look what happened with T.I.
He got his daughter checked to see if her hymen was still intact, to make sure she's not out there just having sex.
He was a villain for that.
And he was villainized, demonized for what he did to make sure, keeping his daughter.
As a woman, I respect his decision in that, because you feel me? She's still underage. She still lives underage. I mean, at that time she was. She's not anymore. But you feel me? Still underage, living in his roof. You feel me? He provides the lifestyle that she lives as a father, and I think that's what people are missing out on. That as a father, he's concerned about how the world is consuming his daughter. And it's like we don't even have Black fathers enough in the home to appreciate that fact. You feel me? Just as a father, he gave a damn. It's like half of us don't have fathers who give a damn, so we don't know what it looks like when a man does give a damn.
Absolutely. So let's get going to this man that quote unquote gives a damn. I'm not saying that he don't give a damn. He clearly gives a damn, but he doesn't give a damn about Black kids. He cares about the white kids. But we'll see we'll see, y'all. Y'all see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go.
Just a little bit about is the sexualization of culture.
Yeah, sexualization is really it's an outside influence, and it's also an internal aspect as well. So certainly the outside influence of a culture that is objectifying our young people in a way that's inappropriate and pressing a sexuality that's just developmentally not appropriate onto young people. But it's also expressed in another way, right? It's expressed in a way where a young person might try to find identity or meaning in a certain behavior, a sexual behavior that just isn't right. It isn't developmentally correct as well. And so it's very much this outward expression of self as well that's just misguided and just inappropriate in many ways. And we're finding that's happening earlier and earlier. We're finding that that age group between 8 and 12, that middle childhood, is disappearing before our eyes in many ways. And that's where we're seeing a lot of this ground being lost and a lot of things that are concerning us.
Wow, 8 and 12. Cliff, your daughter, she was only 12 years old when she was targeted. That's right. Yeah. Tell us about that story, about how you kind of figured out what was going on.
Mm-hmm. So it started last January of 2014. I was just finishing up work for the day, and I looked at my email on my phone and saw an inappropriate message targeted towards my daughter's email.
Because I think this is so important that we discuss this. Your daughter was on the internet, and everything she does on the internet, right? It comes to your phone or your computer.
Yeah, so part of the rules of our household was that if they wanted access to anything online, we had to have not only their usernames and passwords so that we could jump in if there was a problem. But we also had their emails mirrored to my phone so that I could just keep track of what was happening. Not reading every message that comes from their friends or family members, but if something seemed off, I could jump in and help out.
Because it's not really about trust.
All right. So I think that he dropped so many, him as,
I mean, coming from a white man, he says some things that are prevalent and that's important for all
tools to utilize.
Yeah, for all families to understand. If you have children when they get of that age, and what you have to realize is nowadays generation, kids have phone at 5, 6. So iPhones at 5, 6, So
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. You feel me? You'll have a phone when if you were always by my side, what do you need a phone for? What do you need a phone for if you're always by my side? I am your emergency contact. I'm right here. I'm good. You good, I'm good, we good together. But it's a really different topic. But what he was saying, when your children get to the age of having phones or whatever, and they have their, because the schools give your children email addresses before you do, okay? The schools give your children, set up a Gmail account for your students before you do. And you feel me? Your children come home with parents with slips for you to sign, and some of y'all aren't even reading the papers that your kids are coming home for you to sign. You're just signing off on shit. But they set your kids up with email addresses before you do. So with that being the case, you need to have everything that they have going on linked to your accounts, linked to your phone, so you can track that. And email, especially because you know how much junk stuff comes through emails. Predators love emails. Predators love to use email addresses and love to contact people through their emails. And kids don't know no better. He dropped a lot of gems. You need to be on your kids about that stuff. What's the password to their phone?
Not only that, you make it to where they can't even set a password. Number one, my kids aren't gonna. My child's not gonna have a phone until they move up out of my house. We got a house phone. You can make local calls. That's about it. Unless you got a job and you could afford your own phone, and even then, you're gonna be up under me and your dad's contract, and we're gonna be monitoring everything. Because the thing that people don't know is when you go to the cell phone company, you could be like, okay, what mess? She could delete them off her phone. So kids are slick like that. Because I used to do that. I used to do that too, and delete the history on the phone. But you could go to the company and be like, okay, so what is she looking at? What is she doing? Okay, whenever she goes on let's say she goes on, y'all forgive me that I even know this. If she goes on Pornhub.com, you get a notification to your phone saying your child has visited a website that requires her to be 18 years or older. So y'all, come on now. We gotta do better.
Yeah, you gotta,
a flip phone. Exactly. You gonna get a flip phone.
You sidekick. And it's like, what do you need a phone for? What do you need a phone for? Now, I don't plan on having kids, but you feel me? The unfortunate circumstance that I do have kids. When they get to the point where if they need a phone, you need a phone only if you're not always with me. And there's not an adult that you're with that you can use their phone to call me. Because what do you need a phone for? And I feel like I'm watching, you feel me, starting with my little brother's generation. So let's start with, 2009 babies and, now 2009, 10, 11, 12. Y'all, you feel me? First of all, y'all suck. Secondly, y'all are, and it says in the Bible, they'll get wiser and weaker. Y'all are definitely a weak generation, right? But y'all are wise because there's so much going on in the world that you're picking up on and you're utilizing. And YouTube has all these do-it-yourselves videos, and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and then they have all these other apps, all these secret apps like the WhatsApp and all these apps that people can use to utilize to communicate through. And it's like, I don't get it. And it makes them impersonable. How being glued to a screen or a phone, a tablet, whatever, it makes them impersonable. It takes away so much of the character that they have potential to be. because they're so worried about getting a text back from somebody or keeping their Snapchat score high, or you know, how many likes are they getting on their Instagram post, or, you know, stuff like that, when it's like, let's focus on other things. Let's focus on other things.
You cut me with that one, because when I was a senior, or I think I was a senior in high school when I had first got my Snapchat, and I was worried about them points, boy. And it's weird because, you know, I'm just that's a whole weird situation.
It makes you like, it makes you impersonable. You're so worried about getting those likes up, you're becoming impersonable to everything else. Like, I really never paid attention to the points until my little brother was like, "Whoa, you have that many points on Snapchat?" And I'm like, "Damn, how many points do I have on Snapchat?" I'm like, "Okay, is that a lot? Is that a lot?" He's like, "Yeah, that's a lot. I didn't even know people liked you like that." I said, "Me neither, bro. Like, I didn't know people liked me like that either. But hey, I guess I got my snap points up or whatever." But I mean, it's, you know, y'all Tab says it all the time. We got to do better. We got to do better. Like, and I see parents nowadays who's like, "Are you afraid of your child? Are you afraid?" Because that's the vibe you giving me. You making me feel like you're scared of your child, the child you brought into this world. Because I know when I was a child, I heard plenty of times, "I brought you in, I will take you out." But nowadays, it's like parents are afraid to hit their kids with that, "I brought you in, I will take you out."
No, the child would be like, "I'm calling 911." The parent be like, "Oh, hold on, you know, I got a warrant."
Like, what? Like, it's like, what? And so it is, and it's all society in a whole, because it's like the situation like that. Police, you're supposed to protect and serve. Let parents be parents. Let parents be parents, right? Children misbehave. Children are bad. They do not know the ways of the world. They are not all mighty, all educated, all knowing, because they're young and they're dumb. They haven't had the education or the experience.
My mom used to, like, my mom did not play any games. I got whoopings, y'all. Whoopings. Like, I was raised by my elders, my great grandparents, my great uncles, my great aunties. You get out of line, go pick a switch. You think you're gonna go pick, like, you get a like stick that's gonna break. Okay, go pick another
And don't
switch.
make them get it.
You get the flimsy one, and you have webs all over your legs. After a while, like, whoopings, I can honestly say stop working, because it just wasn't working. So my mom put the belt down and she picked her fists up, and she picked up extension cords. She picked up shoes. They're just, oh man.
The closest inanimate object close to you, whatever's right here.
But this generation doesn't know anything about that. They don't know nothing about it.
A skillet, though.
Yeah.
Skillet? In the head?
It hit me in
the shoulder.
Yeah.
See, I was watching.
That still hurts.
Unfortunately, I was watching a Tyler Perry movie the other day, and he was like, "You get the skillet and you play grip ball."
Oh,
grip ball, baby.
Grip ball. Yeah.
Woo, y'all.
You get around my household.
I'm just had to bring that up. I don't know.
That's kind of different, though. That's dealing with an abusive man. You can't find yourself out of an abusive relationship, and you're trying to escape that abusive relationship. Ladies, don't ever just let him in. The thing, I don't know. You feel me in that type of situation? I've never been in an abusive relationship, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But I have dealt with physical men, and I fight. And that's just the end of that. I don't care if I'm going to lose. You're not just going to willingly, I'm not going to just allow you to willingly put your hands on me. All right, I'm going to fight back. Now, if I lose, but I'm going out with a bang. If I have bruises on me, we're going to be Whitney and Bobby up in here. You have bruises on you, and I'm going to have bruises on me. But I've never been in that, I've not in a relationship. You feel me? Not in a relationship. I haven't been in that type of thing. Now, there have been times where there have been dudes, like I have dudes still to this day coming up to me saying, "Gee, you was a bully, you used to beat me up." Let me tell y'all, if we made it to adulthood, please don't come to me telling me that I used to bully you when we was kids. I don't care. Straight up. We made it to adulthood. We're adults now. We've made it past that. You feel me? I just want to put that out there right now.
That's a different podcast. I want to bring that should be something that we should touch on is abusive relationships. But
absolutely, because that's a good one because more people go through it than you think, and women are not always the abused. They're sometimes the abuser. So yeah.
But yeah, y'all.
Yeah.
I think that's
more.
I did, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to. We got 5 minutes, so I think I'm gonna use part of that next time. And I know you're probably gonna conduct the next podcast, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we're part 2, right?
We're part two.
Part 2.
We got part 2, y'all. But I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the end of this podcast. We're gonna finish a little early today.
Yeah. Digest this though, like y'all. If you have kids, you have the ultimate power to kind of control shit. Like, yeah, it's hard with social media and stuff in the outside world, but as a parent, if you don't homeschool your kids, I'm all for homeschool, right? Homeschool, right? That's how I am over here. But if you don't homeschool your kids and you send your kids to school, public, private, it doesn't matter, right? You do have power to ask for what the curriculum looks like. What is your child being taught? You can access that type of information.
Reminds me about it.
Thank you. Who gets beat up by a girl or by anyone, and then reminds them, remember that time you beat me up when we were like 7? No, I don't remember, but apparently you do, and it's affected you in some type of way, but I'm not sorry.
See,
and we've made it to where we are. I'm not sorry.
You're not sorry.
Back in my day when I had a masculine spirit on me, y'all, I was fighting men, but only because they would put their hands on me first. And I've never fought a girl before. I've never fought a female before, but men always wanted to put their hands on me. That's why, dude, we are the weaker vessel. You cannot do that.
It's not okay. It is not okay. You can. It's not. Y'all. This boy's baby mom hit me up or whatever. She asked me to ask him to leave her alone, and I straight up told her no. That's not my place or my business. I don't even deal with you or your baby dad. You just kind of going through something and putting yourself in. And I'm not the person to inbox because I'm blunt and I'm gonna come. You feel me? I straight up told her. I said, look, you young. You're beautiful. You seem, you feel me, a little smart, not too bright because here we are in this situation. But you feel me, you seem like, you got a little bit of a head on your shoulder or whatever. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. You feel me? You don't have to push yourself through that. You're willing. And so what she said to me, y'all, this is what she said to me. She said, I am staying. She said, I put myself through all this to stay for my baby. I asked her, I said, do you want your baby 18 years from now seeing you still in the same position and you're putting yourself through? I said, you just told me that this man is mean to you, rude to you, he stalks you. It's kind of like this little abusiveness. He verbally abuses you. You feel me? She's telling me all these things. And I'm like, and you want your son to see you going through that? Is that what you want? I asked her this as a mother. You want your son to watch a man put you through that, whether that man be his father or not. You want your son to watch you go through that? And I asked her, I said, what type of woman are you? To let your son watch you go through that type of abuse and you're not happy. I said, your son is 7 months. Get the hell out. Y'all don't live together. Get the hell out. Your son is 7 months. Right? He is at an age where he not gonna remember this shit. And you get out and you get yourself to a healthy place now, there's gonna be a man out there who's going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated and the way your son needs to see you be treated so that he turns around and treats women that way. Because if he's watching his father dog you and disrespect you his whole life, he's gonna think that's okay. And you're allowing him to think it's okay because you're not changing your predicament. You're staying in it. So you're teaching your son that it's okay for a woman to put herself through hell and BS if I give her a baby. That's what you're telling your son. If you stay in this predicament in this situation.
Yeah. Well, y'all, that's the end of our podcast. Mark?
Well, yes, like Taz was saying, that will conclude our podcast for today. Just a quick overview. We talked about sex, you feel me, the impacts of it, what influences it, the age that it starts. And we will be part 2 on Friday, so be sure to tune in for that, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But at this time, we ask you to please follow all of our social media platforms. We have Macam Make a Chess Move, Macam Make a Culture Move, Virtual Artist Storytelling, Pushing Pawns. Please follow us on Instagram at Macam303, Pinterest at Macam303, and please subscribe to our YouTube at Macam Make a Chess Move, or Make a Chess Move -Macam. I'm sorry. Please make sure to cop all of our apparel. Y'all see this nice. This is my favorite by far. We will have more shirts incoming. Yeah. But with that being said, y'all knock them out there. Please tune in next week or Friday. I'm sorry.
Bye.